Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're putting together a study guide for a really cool tool that's trying to solve one of the biggest headaches in AI. How do you take all this messy, unstructured text out there and turn it into clean, reliable, structured data? Honestly, getting this right is the key to unlocking so much of AI's real-world potential. But there's a fundamental hurdle we have to get over first. And this is it. This is the big question. We've got these incredible large language models, right? These LLMs that can understand language in a way that feels like magic. But the moment you ask them to just extract specific data points for you, things can get, well, a little unpredictable. So how do you build a system you can count on using a component that can sometimes be unreliable? That is the exact problem that Google's open source library, LangExtract, was built to solve. So first things first, let's really dig into what that problem looks like. Because for any developer who's tried using an LLM for data extraction, you know that the promise you hear about often clashes with a pretty frustrating reality. This slide just lays it all out, doesn't it? On one side, you have the promise, an AI that can read anything and give you structured data just by asking. But on the other side, you get the reality. Outputs can be inconsistent, a little bit off, or sometimes just plain wrong, what we call hallucinations. But the biggest issue, and this is critical, is that the data often has no connection back to the original text. And if you can't trace where your data came from, you just can't trust it. It's as simple as that. Okay, so if that's the problem, what's the fix? Well, it turns out the answer isn't just to build a better model. It's to build a better system around the model. And that, right there, is where LangExtract comes into the picture. Now, the key thing to get here is that LangExtract is not another LLM. A much better way to think about it is as this intelligent scaffolding that you build around an LLM. It gives you the controls, the guardrails, and the structure you need to channel a model's raw power into something that produces consistent, traceable, and reliable data every single time. It's the bridge between a cool AI experiment and a rock-solid engineering component. So how does it actually do all that? How does it deliver on this promise of reliability? Let's pop the hood and take a look at the core features inside the LangExtract toolkit. You can think of this slide as the main cheat sheet for our study guide. Precise source grounding is a huge deal. It means every single piece of data it pulls out is linked back to its exact spot in the original text. That is absolutely critical for auditing and just being able to trust the output. Reliable structured outputs means you get clean data in the right format every time. It even has some really clever tricks for handling enormous documents, like long legal contracts, without sacrificing accuracy. And this really gets to the magic of it. Instead of having to spend tons of time and money fine-tuning your own custom model, LangExtract lets you teach it a super complex task with just a handful of really good examples. You literally just show it what you want, and it figures out the pattern. This makes some seriously advanced AI accessible to pretty much any developer, not just the machine learning PhDs. So at this point, you might be thinking, okay, this sounds amazing, but is it going to be a nightmare to use? And the answer is no, not at all. Let's walk through a super simple, high-level blueprint for your very first extraction. This is like the quick start section of our study guide. The entire process really just boils down to these 3 steps. Define, run, and visualize. It's designed to be a straightforward, repeatable workflow. So let's take a quick peek at each one. Okay, step 1 is easily the most important. You know the old saying, garbage in, garbage out, right? Well, it's true here. This is where you write a really clear prompt that describes exactly what you want to pull out of the text. And then you give it a few perfect examples of the output you're looking for. These examples are those well-chosen ones we just talked about. They're what teach the model the structure and the logic you want it to follow. Step 2 is the workhorse. You just call one function, lx.extract, and you feed it your text, your prompt, your examples, and tell it which AI model you want to use for the job. The library recommends starting with Gemini 2.5.flash as the default, and for good reason. It hits a really nice sweet spot between speed, cost, and quality for most jobs. And finally, step 3 is all about verification. With just a single command, LangExtract will spit out an interactive HTML file where you can actually see the data it extracted highlighted right there in the original text. I mean, this is a killer feature for checking the quality of your results and for debugging if something looks a little off. So, LangExtract is obviously very powerful, but like any tool, it's so important to understand the trade-offs. So now we're getting to the advanced section of our study guide. Let's talk about its flexibility and, just as importantly, its current limitations. One of its biggest selling points is flexibility. As you can see, you are not locked into Google's Gemini models. You can easily swap in OpenAI models like GPT-4o, or you can even run models locally on your own machine with a llama, which is great for privacy. But notice that last column, key config. This points to a really critical trade-off that you have to be aware of. And here it is. This is the key trade-off. Remember that reliable, structured outputs feature we talked about? Well, it's powered by something called schema constraints. And right now, that feature is only fully working for the Gemini backend. So what that means is if you choose to use OpenAI or a local Llama model, you gain a ton of flexibility, but you lose that ironclad guarantee of a perfectly structured output. It's a super important decision that really depends on what your specific project needs. All right, let's zoom out for the big finish. What does a tool like this mean for the big picture? What does it tell us about where AI development is actually going? At the end of the day, tools like LangExtract are what will finally move large language models out of the world of chatbots and cool tech demos and into the world of serious, scalable, enterprise-grade data pipelines. This is the kind of thing that helps turn AI from a novelty into a trustworthy, predictable component that you can actually build a business on. LangExtract really proves that the future isn't just about making bigger and more powerful AI models. It's about building smart, robust systems around them. It's this hybrid approach, right? You're combining the incredible, almost magical language understanding of an AI with good old-fashioned, robust software engineering. And that is how you get the best of both worlds. And all of this leaves us with one final and really exciting question. For decades, we have been absolutely swimming in unstructured data. Think of all the legal contracts, medical records, and customer reviews just sitting there. We are finally getting the keys to unlock all of that value and to do it reliably. The only question left is, what problems are we going to solve first? Thanks so much for diving into this with me today.